Hey, hey. Welcome everybody to Miss Glow's Kitchen, where there's sugar, spice, and everything nice, where we slice, dice, and entice, using everything we can, from peppers to allspice. What's up, my people? Y'all know what time it is? See y'all in the kitchen. A delicious beef stroganoff is on our menu today. Alright, here's what you need to make this stroganoff. You need about 1.5 pounds of steak. So any cut of steak you want, you can use a chuck steak, any cut you want. About 8 ounces of mushrooms. I have a can right there. You can use fresh mushrooms, even better. Onion, minced garlic, butter, beef broth, salt, Worcestershire sauce, flour, sour cream, and you need cooked egg noodles. I'm showing them right there raw, but you need cooked egg noodles. Y'all know what I always say. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, so let's get to it. So you can use whatever cut of meat you want, just make sure it's beef. Now if you look at the marbling in here, that's what we call it. It's got a good amount of fat in here, so I didn't want to get it too lean. Alright, so if you're watching what I'm doing here, I'm going to cut against the grain. So when I say against the grain, that's why I'm showing you which way those lines are going. Now if you cut that in the direction of those lines, you're going to get a tougher piece of meat. If you cut it against the grain, just the way I'm cutting it now, then you'll get a more tender piece of beef. So anytime you're cutting any type of beef, you want to make sure that you go against the grain. And the grain is the way that those lines are running, the way that the meat is actually has actually developed. So those lines there, you want to make sure you go cutting across that. So you do that every time. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this meat into strips. So now you can cut these strips as thin or as thick as you like. So it just depends, but just keep in mind that if you cut them thicker, it's going to take a little while longer to cook. So you want to cut them as, for me, I'll cut them as thin as I want to, because I want them to go ahead and cook quickly. I don't want to be all day in the kitchen. So if you're anything like me, you don't want to be all day in the dang on kitchen, then you're going to cut it up fairly thin, but not paper thin. You have to do it where it's see-through, okay? All right, so we're going to finish cutting this up. We're going to move on to the onion. Now here with the onion, you can chop the onion, you can slice the onion, you can do it any way you want to. Now I've chosen here to do a big chop with mine, so it's a larger chop. So it's chunks of onions. I don't want mine to cook down, but if you want to do, you can do slivers. So you can cut this onion any way you want, so as long as you have the onion in your dish. So don't fret. You don't have to cut it roughly like I did. Cut it any way you want to, and I mean that, really. Seriously. It's a really easy recipe. So once you look at it, you're going to be like, oh, heard of beef stroganoff over the years. You kind of think maybe a little hard to make. It is not. It is very, very, very easy, and it's quick. You'll be eating in no time. So busy mom, weeknight, you got to go to work. Busy dad, you got to go to work. You want to do this, you can slice this meat the night before, and you can season it. So you can marinate this meat if you want to. And get off work, throw it in the pan, throw the onions in the pan, bam, you got a quick, easy, hearty meal. Alright, into a pan you want to add some oil, grapeseed oil, vegetable oil, olive oil, any kind of oil you want to use, corn oil, doesn't matter. Alright, you want to get your onions in and your mushrooms. If you're not using mushrooms in the dish, then disregard that. Just make sure you get your onions. So you want to cook your onions until they're almost translucent, which you know that means it's almost see-through. So you kind of want to get them a little bit done. So I sped this up. I'm going to take a look at it, see what I'm doing. I'm going to add a few pats of butter in there. So I'm going to cook this down until the onions are nearly translucent. And then I'm going to take them out of the pan and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so dump the onions out. You don't even have to wipe the pan. You leave the oil that's in there already. We're going to throw the meat in here. We're going to cook it really, really quickly. Just doesn't take long for this steak to get ready. Alright, so I'm putting a little bit of olive oil. Again, you're going to use grapeseed oil. Any type of oil you want to use is fine. So you're going to put that in there. You're going to heat this pan up a little bit. And and in goes the meat. Now here's the tip I'm going to tell you. I'm going to put this meat in, and I'm going to use some onion powder, garlic powder, seasoned salt. You can use salt and pepper in here, and it will still work, and your dish will still be good. So put a couple pats of butter in there. You can use margarine too, so it doesn't have to be butter. It can be margarine as well. So I'm going to put the meat in. So again, I'm telling you, whatever seasonings you choose, whatever you normally put, just say you make a steak at home, whatever seasoning you normally put on your steak, put it on here. So if you want to use a seasoned salt, onion powder, garlic powder, you can use crushed red pepper, black pepper. So you can do this meat any type of way you want. It really won't make a difference. You just want the meat to be seasoned, and you want it to be seasoned well and delicious. Because remember what I say, season every step of the way with any dish you're making. You season every step of the way, you will be sure to have a great tasting dish at the end, but you just want to make sure you don't over salt your dishes. Alright, because over salting is going to ruin the dish. You're not going to be able to fix it. So you season every step of the way, but go easy on the salt every step of the way. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to let this brown, and then I'll be back. Alright, so here's the meat after it is browned. It's going to look like that. So you want to get it to that point. And you want to taste one, tear it apart, make sure it's tender. If it's tender, you're good. Now I'm going to move on. I'm going to get a clean pan here. So I'm going to take the meat out of the oil in that pan, and I'm going to put it into the clean pan right here. So, I mean, you could take this out and you can wipe that pan out too. So you can do it. I just decided to put it in another pan. So put in another pan, and to this pan. Now my fire is still on, so just make sure your heat is on like medium. Put it on like a medium heat, and that's good. So don't have it on high heat. You don't want to burn your dish up. So don't have it on high heat, but you want to put it on medium, because see that little action where it's bubbling there? You want a little action. If you put it on low, you're not going to get any action at all. You hear me? It's going to take a while. So you want to put it at least on a medium heat. Alright, so here I'm going to add a little stock here. So I'll put the measurements and everything in the description box down below. So I'm going to add, you can add water, or you can add some type of stock. Now if you haven't hit that subscribe button already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, share, tell your family, tell your friends, and hit that bell for notifications so you'll be one of the first ones to know when I put a new video up. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Alright, so after you put that stock or that water in there, you want to put a top on it and let it go for a minute. Alright, so it's going to come to a nice little boil with that top on it. So here's what it looks like. It's boiling. So once again, you want to test your meat. You want to make sure it's tender. You can break it apart. So you want to make sure it's fork tender. So if you can break it apart very easily, it's tender enough. Taste it. Alright, so we're going to put our onions and our mushrooms in here. Again, if you didn't use onions, then you'll just be, if you didn't use mushrooms, then you'll just be putting the onions in here. So, alright, so I'm going to take the onions, the mushrooms, you're going to mix it in well with the meat. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to add a slurry. So I'm going to add a mixture of flour and water. It's going to thicken up. It's going to make a gravy for us. That's what it's going to do with this. So I'll tell you in the description box down below how to make a slurry. Easy slurry, very easy. You can use cornstarch or flour. So you got a choice. So you want to mix that up. Then you're going to pour the slurry in here. So after you pour the, so that's the slurry. So I'm using a fork. You can use a whisk, of course. Alright, so again, just flour or cornstarch and water. So you want to mix it up. You don't want any lumps in there. So you want to mix this up until it's smooth. Now when your slurry is smooth, you want to pour it in just like that. Now you're going to give it a nice stir here after that slurry is in. But, alright, so stir it. Make sure everything's coated. It's mixed well. Alright, so once you get this mixed well, then here is the point where you will either add water or you'll add stock. Now I'm going to tell you, you can use either of the two. Doesn't matter if you use water right here. It doesn't matter if you use stock, because you're still going to season your dish before you serve it. So it makes no difference here. It's neither here nor there. So you can use whichever one you want. Now at this point, I'm going to take the same measuring cup I had the slurry in. I'm going to put some water in. So you see it looks a little cloudy there. I'm going to put about a half cup of water in here. Alright, so we're going to stir this around. And what this is going to do is this is going to thicken. Alright, so it's going to thicken into a nice gravy with the meat and the onions and the mushrooms. So the meat and veggies. This will thicken it up really nicely. So you can see this beef stroganoff, I told you, it's really easy and it's really good. It's really hearty and fulfilling. So you can put some cornbread on the side. You can have rolls, breadsticks. You can do anything you want. A nice little salad. So you can make this a whole meal to serve if you want to. But if not, you'll put that stroganoff over some noodles and you're good to go. All right, little Worcestershire sauce. A few drops. I'm always going overboard. A few drops will do, baby. A little bit of liquid smoke. I'm gonna give it some smoky undertones. So get a little smoke flavor on your tongue. How about that? So just a little bit of liquid smoke. Don't overdo it with the liquid smoke. You don't want a strong smoky flavor in here. Okay, because you don't want to take away from the original flavor of the stroganoff. So I'm gonna put a little bit. Now what you want to do is you want to mix it well. So you want to make sure, see how it's bubbling in the pan? So you want to make sure you mix it really, really well because you want everything coated evenly. So you want every forkful to taste the same. So be really careful when you're stirring it that you're not stirring part of the dish and you're not incorporating the other part of the dish in with it. So I'm going to bring it to a nice little boil here. And so meanwhile, when you're bringing it to a nice boil, that's where our gravy is developing. So we put the slurry in there, we put the water in there. So that's where it's developing. Take a look at that. All right, so here we go with about a cup of sour cream. Yep, not stroganoff without sour cream. So I'll get some sour cream put in here and stir it up. Once again, stir it up really well. Now, about this point, when you get this stirred up really well, you want to get yourself a tasting spoon or fork. And what you want to do is you want to taste this because you'll start adjusting your seasonings accordingly. So you want to put in more salt, more pepper, more garlic. If you want to put it in there, you can leave the garlic out so it won't make or break the dish, but it's a good addition. Adds a nice little flavor to it. So look at that. So you got a nice thick beef stroganoff. You don't want your gravy thin. If you do, it's not really good stroganoff. If your gravy is too thin, if it's watery, then no, we made a mistake somewhere. So a stroganoff is meant to be hearty and thick. All right. And so again, I say you can prepare yourself some noodles or you can put this over rice. But I normally put it over egg noodles, so I'm going to suggest to you to do the same thing. Now you want to let it boil, but you're going to come back. So you're going to put a bit of parsley. You're going to put a little bit of greenery in there. So put just a little bit. And that's going to do what we need it to do. So at this point, take a look. If you've ever seen stroganoff or you know what it looks like, then take a look because this is it. This is good. It was good too, trust me. Anyway, so quick, easy weeknight meal. Look how easy that was. That's all we got to do is stir it. Stir it, stir it. Now at this point again, I'm going to reiterate. I'm going to say this again. You want to taste this and adjust your seasonings right here. So if you need more seasoned salt, more garlic, more black pepper, you can even put some crushed red pepper in here. If you need any of that, then now is a good time while you still have it on the stove. Now is a good time to add those seasonings so they can get in there really well. All right, so you see I'm putting that spoon in there. I'm trying to make sure that it's perfect. And you do the same thing. All right, so I've already prepared some egg noodles. Now what you want to do with that is you want to follow the directions on the package. Now boil your noodles. Don't overcook them. Please don't overcook your pasta. Anyway, so into this bowl with these egg noodles, I have put 2 pats of butter. So that's why I'm stirring it vigorously like that. I've got butter and now put a little parsley. If you want to put a little salt and pepper right here, that's cool too. Remember I say season every step of the way. So if you want to season your egg noodles right here, you can. All right, so I'm going to give it a good stir because I want to make sure that the parsley and the butter is coating, coating all of the noodles. So you eyeball it. You don't think it's enough parsley. I didn't, so I sprinkled a little bit more. So you can do that. Now, after you do that, then at this point, you're ready to plate. All right, so I got a nice plate here. It's glass, but it's still sort of like a pasta bowl, if you will. So you want to do that. You want to put that in there. And so you Just put as many noodles as you want, as many or as little. I'm going to put a lot because I'm greedy, so of course I need a whole plate of everything. Alright, so we're going to get your noodles onto a plate here. So at this point, if you don't have your bread ready, you want to put it in a toaster, the oven or whatever, do that. But I would suggest if you're watching this and you haven't done it yet, that you make your bread a little bit earlier so that it's ready. So when your stroganoff is in that pan at the end and it's getting ready, then you want to put your bread or your cornbread in the oven, and you want to go ahead and get it ready. All right. So now at this point, you got your noodles on a plate. You're gonna put your stroganoff on the top. So at this point you're ready to serve. That's what I'm saying. So this is ready for serving. All right. Here we go. Yes, Lord. Look at this. Woo! Yes, Lord. I am ready. This was one day I was really hungry, too. I was really hungry. So I'm so happy I made a quick dish. So I was like super hungry. All right. I used to want to spoon this over the noodles and make it look pretty. Look at that. Yes, yes, yes. And yes, you want it that thick. You do. Generally, you see a stroganoff, you know, I said it 10 times in the video already, it's a really thick and hearty dish. But trust me, it's thick right there over those noodles. This was so darn good. Alright, that's me trying to make it look pretty. Now look at that plate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little parsley on the top of it. And after I put a little parsley on the top of it, this is what it looks like. That is beautiful and ready to eat. Check that out, everybody. Check it out. Another close-up. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. See y'all next time. As always, I appreciate you. Hit that like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.